2024 Baltimore 10 miler coming up in a couple of weeks. Let's dive into a couple of key race day features that you need to know for race day success. So this website is pretty straightforward. This is running at the zoo here. Coming off on June 1st, 2024, you can hit some of these little tabs up at the top here and it will give you specific info. Let's dive into some race info. Coming up in 13 days, 7 hours or so. This page talks about where, when, and who. Where it's on Druid Hill Park, Baltimore, Maryland. You can click that link directly to get directions. Rules and regulations: you must be 12 or 10 years or older, 12 years old, run by yourself, all of that good stuff. You can edit registration, all of that, and get amenities and yada yada. This is our course that we're going to be running this year in 2024. Initially, they had you running around the lake up there, but they are in fact doing a out and back. Also, there is an out and back that was originally scheduled for here, but that has also been eliminated, bringing that to a total of, if we go to our map here, this is about a 10.1. I think that's about where you're going to turn around over there. The facts page, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but first we're going to talk about packet pickup. You have three different options. All of them are before the race, and there is no race morning packet pickup. No exceptions. First one, 4 to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, May 28th, Roadrunner Sports in Rockville. Second is the same time on Wednesday, the 29th, a day later, at Roadrunner Sports in Columbia. The third option is noon to 6 p.m. Friday, the 31st, and that is at the Maryland Zoo entrance. All of these have direct addresses, and you can link or click them and get directions straight from there. There is also a $25 ship packet option. The ship date typically 10 to 12 days prior to the race. So the target ship date is May 21st, and that's coming up in a couple of days. So just if you can't make it to any of the packet pickups, that is an option for you that you need to do in the next day or two. And that is it for packet pickup, believe it or not. Going up to our race course details, the start time is 7 a.m. And it is a single loop course. I mean, we're doing an out and back for this run course. You're not going to run around the lake as previously mentioned. There is plenty of on-site parking, and you're going to have 3 hours to complete the course. 7 a.m. It doesn't list anything about like a bag drop off or anything like that, like in some of the other races that are local. So when you do pick up your packet, make sure you ask if there is such a thing there. And if there's not, that means you're just going to do local race style. And if you have someone that's coming there to watch you or cheer you on, I would give your keys, phone, whatever, to those people who are spectating to make it a little easier for you. Last tidbit here before we dive into the course: the runners are going to return a cold towel, delicious watermelon, and adult beverages await you after they conquer mile 9. Even though you have a little bit more, so it's a little confusing there. So they say that over 40,000 runners have completed the race. So without further ado, let's dive into some key race day specifics here. This is, again, our course that you need to know. First aid station is going to come at about 1.5 miles out there. Second aid station is going to come 3.75. I am going to envision that this is only an aid station on the way out. But if not, hopefully it's on the other side. That means it'll put it at about 4.75. Miles, and if not, it's going to be about 4.5 miles. If you can hit it twice, happy days. If not, plan ahead. This is going to be a super important question, critical question that you need to ask during packet pickup. Fourth water stop is going to be this one right here, coming right after mile 6. I think that's going to be about a 6.25 there. And our second to last water stop or aid station is going to happen at about a little over 8.5 miles into the race. And then the last one's going to come at mile 9. So two are coming very, very close together. In this map, they list they are going to have water and Gatorade. I haven't seen anything about any gels or any other offerings out on course. So it looks like it's just going to be water or Gatorade. And again, make sure you're asking that at packet pickup when you do that at one of the 3 different times and locations. So that is our aid stations. This is our elevation profile that they list. I have created another one a little bit more detailed for us, and this is our race course right here for 2024. You can see that we do have about 500 feet of elevation gain here. And that's going to be a note for later. This course does have a number of very important areas. The first one coming right off the bat is for the first about half a mile. That's going to be a flatter section. And after that, it does kick up a bit for the next mile and a half-ish, a little bit more than that. So with this, you do need to have a proper warm-up. You do need to be ready to rock and roll. There's going to be a fair amount of traffic during this first little stretch here, and then you're going to be greeted with a nice downhill. So that's a false sense of security, and that initial adrenaline rush is going to just continuously hit a little bit longer here. You're going to be running fast down this downhill. Make sure you are in control here and not just chasing the speed here. Let the speed come naturally, because after that we are greeted with a couple of small uphills right there. And out on course, if you want to see where this is coming. Follow the orange dot right there on the map. This is coming right before or right after we cross I-83. We're going to pop up, quick hill. This is a 2.5 max gradient hill, and then we're going to get dropped down, and it's going to be some choppy, lumpy terrain in here, and before we definitely sky up with about 3.5 percentage gradient is going to be our max in this section here. So think back to that 504 total feet of elevation. We have 69 feet, about 70 feet of total elevation in this stretch of just a little bit of time here. Sorry for that. Just a little bit of time. With this, you do need to be mindful of what happened beforehand. Again, even before you hit mile 0.0, you do need to have an effective warm-up, because these hills are going to take a little bit of stuffing out of you. Maintain your pace. Just get through some of the crowds in this initial bit. Watch the downhill speed as you get to this section up here. This is where your race really starts, and it doesn't really stop for the remainder of the race here. This next little section over here from mile 1.4 to, let's call it 3.2 here, a distance of 1.8 miles here. This has another 112 feet of elevation gain here. So the elevation is starting to add up. For all of you math whizzes out there, it's 182 feet of elevation gain thus far, and we're only 3.2 miles into the race up here. Scrolling over this section here, as we're greeted by this great downhill, which is going to be, we're going to max out at about negative 3.3, 3.5. So it's going to be a little bit serious of a downhill, and it's not going to last for a long time. So again, all of these short, choppy uphills and downhills, you're going to have to be really, really mindful of your running form. Watch your legs from shooting out too far in front of you, and just really, really be smart here. You can go fast. I want you to go fast here, but I want you to be more in control than just totally unleashing it here. This next section in my mind is really where your race starts at mile 1.8, 1.81. We do get greeted by another, let's call it 3% hill through this point here, but then it does flatten out during this section over here. And again, this is going to be where you can really start to reel some people in. It is a false descent, which means that people are just going to be totally unhinged over here, and they're just going to be ignoring everything and just really flying down the road. Again, I want you to go fast, but I want you to be in control here. Watch your form. Watch your form. Use this little downhill as a springboard to climb up this section over here as you approach the lake. Jumping out of this view right here, we're going to highlight when we approach and go all the way up to our out and back, and then when we slowly climb up to that section that we just finished talking about. This is another great area to really put your name on the course. Catch up with other athletes over here. All of the things that you should be doing should be happening at this point in time. If you find that you are decelerating as time goes on during this section, then you've overdone the first couple of miles here. So about mile, let's call that mile 2.22. That is where your race should begin. Obviously you have to set yourself up for success. You're still running at a good little clip here, but when you get to this section, then we have a little bit of a steep downhill. Again, it's not going to last for very long. -2, -3% is what you're typically going to find in this section here. And then right through here, this is where the magic happens on this course over here. Once you start to get out of this section, I'm going to highlight the rest for us so we can talk about it very, very quickly. When we do a giant zoom in like this, you can really see that the hills take on a different shape than when we have just outright zoom for this whole entire course. Again, you're going to be going down, you're going to be going up. It's constantly going to be a battle. The athletes that lose that battle are going to be the ones that have ignored the terrain and not respected it for the first 4 miles of this course. As you approach this section over here, you should steadily be increasing your speed or maintaining it over here. If you are struggling, then you need to actively correct what's going on. Did you go out a little bit too fast? Have you underfueled? Do you need to hydrate? Fix those issues. It might not come till later on in the race, but it will actively correct itself as it gets deeper and deeper into the race. Problems are going to arise for those athletes who just decide to ignore it and just manage the pain instead of the athlete who actively starts to transition towards what they need to fix. Okay. Listen to those warning signs for the first 3 miles and you should be good to go here. This section is very, very natural and normal for the terrain that you would expect in this area. If you're running around everywhere else, this is what you're typically going to find there. With the big issue here is coming at mile 8.7. This is going to be a hill that lasts up until mile 9.7. So a good chunk of time on a 10-mile course here. It's just a steady rise over here, and that's going to be your if you started off a little bit slower, that's going to be the point at which you start to actively pass people and never hold back after that. If you have totally overdone it and you are just showing up and flying and dying, that's your style. Okay, whatever. But as you get slowly up to this hill, your strategy should just be to maintain your speed up this hill as best as you can. If you have to slow down a little bit, slow down, but just manage and just feather that intensity all the way through this hill. If you're really running and gunning and you are, you held back a little bit, you let your competitors go a little bit, but they're still in your sight, this is your last real opportunity to reel them in. Okay, so don't hold back. Have a blast on a course like this. It is going to be a very, very fun course. Again, make sure you ask where the aid stations are specifically, how many you can interact with, if is it double-sided, all that good stuff, and also if they are going to be having other offerings besides water and Gatorade out there. Have a blast. The last real thing is make sure you check the fact sheet on their website if you have any other questions that I did not answer for you. Have a blast out there. Baltimore 10 miler 2024. Good luck to all of our competitors.